Thanks a bunch, Superbright. With the success of the Quest already being surpassed by the Quest 2, the Oculus Store and side quest are now more stuffed with content than Baron Harkonnen is of space pies. There are many, many, many more games and experiences than can all be reviewed in a timely and thorough manner, even by the well-trained and overworked team of crack commando writers languishing here in the dungeons of Castle 6DOF. We're all working round the clock as it is, Superbright, without having to re-review games because you've improved them so much since release. And yet here we are. When I originally reviewed In Death Unchained only a few months ago, I gave it a solid 7. It was a unique and addictive archery game that I loved in its previous incarnation on PC VR, but I felt that the Quest version had some rough edges that affected the gameplay and stopped it reaching the heights it aspired to and deserved. Commendably, the Superbright team have issued a steady stream of improvements, tweaks and additions from the very first week of it being on sale, which have not only addressed most, if not all, of the game's problems, but have also added to the gameplay and overall experience so much that an incremental score upgrade to tweak the original review wouldn't do it justice. So here I am again. Just call me Doc Sisyphus. And what pure pleasure it is to be able to report that In Death Unchained is, thanks to a solid foundation and a tireless and dedicated developer, now one of the best games on the Quest or any VR platform. That's all you need to know. Go and buy it. No, I didn't think I'd be able to get away with leaving it there somehow. Okay, let me take you by the eyes and lead you through the spires of heaven. The game casts you as the hands of an unseen archer, moving through procedurally generated levels, dispatching ever trickier hordes of unholy, monstrous Baddingtons. The setting is incredible. Whilst most pop culture media uses heavy metal album covers as the go-to depiction of hell, In Death wants to convey the works of Dante-and-Milton, with the melancholic echoes of the Dark Souls games in the mix. Cathedral spires and cloisters jut impossibly from floating, snowy rock platforms in the clouds. It's an ever-changing, unsettling landscape of statues and stained glass. As your journey progresses, it will take you through increasingly beautiful and dizzying levels that channel archaic Christian imagery of worship, heaven and hell. Environments which beg to be explored and cleansed of its arcane villains. These range from faceless hooded monks and rotting zombies to Harryhausen-issue chuckling skeletons, and what I believe John Milton himself referred to as little deformed cherub bastards. Your hellish adversaries are well designed and creepy, all having distinctive movement patterns and sounds which are excellently placed in the positional audio, even when just using the Quest's built-in speakers. I can't emphasize enough how improved this is from how the game released originally. The game is so much fairer than it was, even though it's still bloody difficult. The archery is simply sublime. Aiming and firing is a quick, rewarding movement which gives empowerment to a beginner and much subtlety and reward to more experienced players. While the game now allows smooth turning and free movement, this is intentionally slow-paced, so you won't be running and strafing like you're playing Doom. The teleport arrows remain a classy way of encouraging exploration and deliberate, methodical play. Slowly creeping sideways along a balustrade, dodging arrows and lining up headshots is truly one of gaming's greatest pleasures. The shield that you can bring up to protect against projectiles and melee attacks is excellent too, requiring good timing and skill to make the most of. The arrow power-ups you can unlock and pick up along the way are really rewarding to use too. Fire, freeze, homing and lightning arrows and such all get powered up by certain achievements you can earn on your runs, as do your standard attacks. They all have a use and a place in your arsenal. Don't hoard them just for the terrifying and pressured boss encounters. I've never been a massive fan of rogue-like random level generation per se. It can often leave me feeling demotivated when progression in a game resets if you die, and it takes a special title to sidestep my ambivalence in this regard. In Death Unchained features runs that feel satisfying and rewarding in numerous ways, not least of which is the feedback that you get after you fall. When you find yourself back in a cathedral hub of purgatory, the game gives you numerous score tallies and now ingeniously displays filling meters for achievements you've earned and are on the way to earning. This, coupled with the brilliant splatting head count of ghoulish adversaries that you've vanquished, means that you don't ever feel like you've wasted your time. There are also global and friend leaderboards to keep you competitive and motivated. When you get a bit more adept at handling yourself in the game, you'll stop struggling through and just surviving and start challenging yourself to earn a higher score with distant headshots and skilled play. It's a wonderfully Moorish gameplay loop, which is more akin to the likes of Beat Saber or Audica in some ways, and every bit as essential. There are very, very few niggles with the game. I've played the different versions of the game on different platforms, and I'm not convinced the boss battles are as polished or pleasing as they should be, no matter how often I do them. There's this one enemy type, creepy floating spectres, that are mildly reminiscent of the library ghost in Ghostbusters. They advance towards you through the scenery, and sometimes you'll have no idea they're doing so during a flurried group confrontation, leading to a slightly unfair health loss every so often. I also find that the hitboxes for their glowing chest weak points are slightly dubious. Often an arrow will show as a near-as-damn-it direct hit, and yet still they advance. And as far as criticism, that's pretty much it now. I'm really hoping Superbright doesn't work too hard on improving the game any further, because it would be dangerously close to being 6 DOF's first 10, and I'll have to do all this again. In Death Unchained is a distinctive, original and polished explorative archery game which is endlessly replayable and massively addictive. Through canny iteration by a talented dev, it's now a standout title on the Quest platform and an essential system seller in its own right. Heavenly. Overall, 9. The base Quest version is impressive and significantly technically improved from its initial release, as Superbright have squeezed more performance from its modest host. The power of Quest 2, however, has presented an opportunity to introduce more nifty visual effects and geometry into the mix, and it's remarkable what a difference it makes. There are additional background elements in the levels, new lighting, layers of swirling fog. Architecture can now be seen stretching further into the distance. It's not a top-to-bottom generational reworking, just a slew of subtle but cumulatively substantial upgrades which really add to the experience in terms of world building and atmosphere. Things that are hardly lacking from the game to begin with. Truly striking. If you've got a Quest 2, you'll want this. If you're after regular high-quality Quest-exclusive content, please subscribe. Feel free to hit thumbs up or thumbs down and let us know your thoughts in the comments below.